And at the end of the night, the father of the household says, hey, I don't know why, but I just feel compelled to give you the keys to my brand new car, and I just want you guys to have it. We quickly fell in love with Thanksgiving after that. That was a game changer. You know, when you go through something like that, you know, you have a need, and you see it filled. You say a prayer, and it's answered. I mean, it affects you. It changes you. And what I realized as a young boy was this: the moment that we stop giving to our friends, giving to our neighbors, giving to our families, and the moment that we stop giving to the poor, our souls go dark. And some of you might be wondering, well, what does this have to do with anything? Well, we've been a part of an organization called Compassion International for a number of years. Compassion International is a child sponsorship program that specializes in reversing the cycle of poverty in third world countries. It believes that by pouring into the youth of these countries, that they will raise up the next Mother Teresa's, the next Billy Grahams, the next doctors, lawyers, fathers, mothers, and they will transform these countries from the inside out. And I heard a very cool story about a young boy whose name was Richmond, and Richmond was born in Uganda, and he was actually born into a fairly affluent family. But at a very young age, Richmond's father was murdered, and with that murder went all of the provision for the family. And they were forced to move into the slums. And I don't know if you guys have experienced the slums before, gone on a trip, but the slums is just unthinkable difficulty, 24/7, just unthinkable difficulty. And Richmond's mother started asking the same question that we would ask. How do I get my family out of this? How do I get my family out of extreme poverty? She ended up hearing about the local Compassion International project, and Richmond ended up getting accepted into that program. He was in that program for a number of years, ended up graduating with the equivalent of a high school diploma. He then went on and got his bachelor's degree over in Uganda, then came to the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago. Yes, oh, some fans here, okay. He got his master's from there, and then I just heard of this boy, who is now a man. He graduated with his doctorate right here in the United States of America. And yeah, it's cool, right? It's cool. And look, this little boy went from a little boy living in the slums to being a man now, having graduated with his doctorate. And it's an unbelievable story, a remarkable story. But the most challenging aspect of Richmond's story is actually this. The person who sponsored Richmond was a 14-year-old little girl who said to herself, hey, you know, I can babysit for enough hours and I can afford to sponsor a child. Because of that one girl's decision, we are now seeing ripple effects take place all across the world, because Richmond has now gone back to Uganda and is planting churches, shepherding pastors, and doing absolutely remarkable things, all because of one little girl said, man, I can make a difference. I can do something. I can make a difference. So in just a few moments, we're going to have some Compassion International volunteers come throughout the aisles of this arena with these things called child packs. And I want to read to you about this child that I have in my hand. This is little Stephen, and Stephen lives in Kenya. It actually says that he lives in an AIDS-infected area, and it says that Stephen lives with his mother. His mother is sometimes employed as a day laborer. Stephen helps his mother by caring for the animals, gathering firewood, and running errands. And oftentimes when we see a kid that lives in an AIDS-affected area, there's a good chance that Stephen's father, in this case, may have been actually taken by HIV/AIDS. There's also probably 5, 6, 7 other kids in this household, and he has a mother who is sometimes employed as a day laborer. I mean, the need is just insane. And for some of you here tonight, you might be thinking to yourself, man, look, I love the thought of Compassion International. I love the thought of giving. I love the thought of sponsoring a child. But I just can't afford it. And here's what I would say to you. If you get together with just 2 friends tonight, yourself and 2 friends, it'd be about $13 a month, and you have a child's life, just like Stephen's, changed for forever. Maybe tonight you came with a youth group or a small group or some sort of group. Sponsor a child as a group and take up a fund once a month. And you have a child's life, just like Stephen's, changed. Probably the most powerful way that I've seen child sponsorship take place is actually through families. When I was a young boy, my parents sponsored a child. They put the picture, just like Stephen's picture, up on the refrigerator. And every time that I would go get milk, or I'd go get orange juice, or I'd go get food, I was actually reminded of the fact that there were other kids in this world who didn't have that ability. But yet that I could go and rake leaves and mow lawns, and I could do something. And I think it's very important for us, particularly for us as parents, to understand that we live in a very selfish society, very, very self-seeking. And unless we're doing intentional things as parents to display what it means to be generous, what it means to be giving, what it means to be kind, our kids are just going to go along with society. And I think that sponsoring a child as a family is just one of those ways that you can put on display, that intentional display of generosity. So what you would do, if you decide that you wanted to sponsor a child tonight, what you do is you take this blue tab here, you peel it off, pretty self-explanatory form. When you're turning into one of many locations here tonight, anybody with a blue apron on tonight, they're actually Compassion International volunteers. They actually have the ability to process the sponsoring of a child right from your chair. So you can take that blue tab, turn it into them. We also have several Compassion International tables around the main concourse. You can also take that blue tab and turn it into any of those tables. So any of the volunteers, any of the Compassion tables, and also every child pack actually has a QR code at the bottom. And thanks to the pandemic, we actually know how to use QR codes now. But you can scan that QR code and it'll take you directly to Compassion's website, to that individual child, and you can sponsor a child that way, which is probably the quickest and easiest way to sponsor a child, is actually through scanning that QR code. And also, we have a text to sponsor system. If you text the word waiting to 83393, you're going to get sent a Compassion child right to your cell phone. And that child has been specifically curated for your phone number, and if you just follow through all the promptings, you can sponsor a child that way as well. We're doing something very special tonight, and that's this. My brother Joel, he mentioned that our mother had written a book, which we're very, very proud of, because we've been asking her to do it for years, and she's an introvert, all right? And I said, Mom, you can write the book in a closet if you would like. Just write the book, all right? And so she wrote the book. I'm very proud of her. And then we also have our latest CD, What Are We Waiting For, that we want to give you, and along with this bag. I mean, this is literally one of the most important things that we talk about from the platform tonight. So we want to make sure we give to you guys as you give to these kids. So you take that blue tab, fill it out, turn it into any of the Compassion International volunteers or any of the Compassion stands, or you can scan that QR code, probably the easiest way. Scan the QR code, follow through all the promptings. As soon as you get an email in your inbox confirming that you've sponsored a child, just raise your hand up really, really high and the volunteers will come and give you that gift. Same with the text to sponsor system. As soon as you get an email in your inbox confirming that you've sponsored a child, just raise that hand and they'll come and give you that free gift. Oftentimes people wonder, Luke, why do you take time out of your concert to talk about Compassion International? Why don't you just play more songs? And here's the deal, under very, very different circumstances, I was much like one of these kids when I first came to America. And if it wasn't for people like yourselves who gave to me and my family, if it wasn't for people like yourselves who gave generously to me and my family, I wouldn't be sitting up here on the stage. And second of all, I say this, I will never grow tired of advocating for children who are in desperate need of food, clothing, and education, and most of all, who are in desperate need of Jesus Christ in their life, yeah?